You are listening to the CAD Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The CAD Call podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the CAD Call podcast. I am your loudmouth technology host, Jim Coppinger, and with me, as always, is my partner,
the silent one, Rocco Parisi.
I don't know if you were silent, a little quieter. I'll give you a little quieter. Yeah, but then again, you know, there are explosions that are quieter than me. So what does that really say? All right, so what are we doing today? Our topic for today is CAD for construction. Is it worthwhile? So what I really wanted to talk about today, right? I want to get into talking about our listeners who are working in the construction industry, and to see whether or not, you know, a CAD system is a worthwhile pursuit for them. Traditionally, most construction firms don't bother with CAD systems. They tend to leave that to the design folks, and they just rely on them to provide, you know, physical paper documents and PDF files with the static information that they can review and measure off of. And that has worked very well for a lot of years, right? Particularly, you know, when you're using nothing but the 2D design tools in the CAD side. But there has been a big change in the industry over the last few years. And, you know, with the advent of, you know, extensive 3D modeling and BIM technology rising to the fore, more and more construction firms are finding that the old school paper drawings aren't enough anymore, right? And that, what am I trying to say? The being able to open and work with the BIM model directly offers a lot of benefits, right? In particular, I think it can eliminate a lot of RFIs, right? And that's, you know, request for information for those of you like Rocco, who don't know all the very cool construction acronyms like I do. Okay. I first told Rocco about an RFI. He thought it was a new McDonald's hamburger. I'm just saying. I don't know why you partner with me, man. You just come up with this stupid crap to say on the, who knows. Anyway.
The Burger King RFI.
The Burger King RFI. It's the greatest new thing. So an RFI, a request for information, it occurs when there's some specific aspect of a design that just is not understood by the builder, right? And then they have to go to get a clarification or a decision from the designer, whether it's the architect or the engineer. And, you know, those take a lot of time, and they can delay your project by days and sometimes even weeks, right? Waiting for these things to go back and forth. But in a lot of time, having that 3D BIM model available to your construction people can answer a lot of those questions before they have to get involved in an RFI, and it saves you a lot of time and money, right? So Rocco, in terms of construction companies, right, do you see a lot more of them looking into CAD systems for their staff now than we did previously?
You know, there is more of an interest, but I do think that it's from the marketing aspect that. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but there's more of a push. Hey, you need to be working with the BIM model. You need to be looking at the BIM model. And what do you think of from that perspective?
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. I mean, I think the whole industry is going that way, and I think that, you know, the major software developers have been pushing that real hard from a marketing standpoint, and a lot of the architectural design firms have kind of, you know, bought into that and do the 3D BIM model. And I'm not saying in any way that that's bad. I'm just saying, you know, that is the way that the design side has absolutely gone. And they are trying real hard to pull the construction guys into that. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I know that there is a lot of resistance to it. And I don't think it's ever going to be 100% that. But I do absolutely believe that there are benefits, you know, to going in that 3D space. So I do think that there is a definite positive to working in the 3D BIM and modeling area in the construction world. So that's my thoughts. So, you know, and look, you know, like I said, there are definite benefits, I think, to using that CAD, whether it's the 3D or the 2D, in the construction world. But I think that the potential drawbacks, right, that have been kind of the resistance point to it for the last few decades, they haven't really gone away. There are still negative components to this that you have to consider, right? That our listeners need to look at. And I think there are three big negatives to this, right? And I think that they're all valid, and I want to touch base on all of them, right? So first off is the issue of cost, right? CAD systems, whether it's a basic 2D system or one of the more robust 3D BIM systems like Revit or Bricks CAD BIM that we work with, they're really expensive products, right? Any way you cut it, you're looking at spending a few $1,000s per user, right? And that can be a recurring annual. Yeah, right. Yeah, it can be an annual expense if you work with the Autodesk product, right? Bricks CAD, you can get the perpetual license, which I think is a lot more affordable. But most people wind up in that Autodesk wheelhouse and are kind of stuck paying that every single year. And yeah, I think there's just a lot of construction executives who just flat out refuse to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a new system that their field staff is only going to use a few times a week to answer some specific questions. Now, I honestly do think that there is a lot more benefit to it than that, but their concern is a valid one, right? And asking the owners to shell out a ton of cash for something that their users have, quote unquote, they never needed that before, right? That's a big ask, right? So Rocco, what options are available then, right, to help keep the prices of CAD systems down for construction firms? And you brought it up, right? Do perpetual and network licenses play a role in making these systems more affordable?
Sure. Well, like you said, we work with Bricks CAD, which is available as a one-time license with the option of annual maintenance. And that brings, over the long term, that brings a much less expensive option than one that you'd have with the Autodesk AEC collection, where you're paying, almost $3,000 a year per user per license. Mm-hmm. And if you add in the network option where you can deploy it across your network and give multiple people access, then your costs are even higher. So our recommendation would be to go with a platform like Bricks CAD,
right?
Because you could get it and only work in 2D and just handle your 2D construction drawings if you want that way, or you have the option to go to BIM either now or down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also think that in that instance, I think that the network licenses for construction firms make a lot more sense, because like I said, you don't want to buy a license for these guys who are going to use it 3 or 4 times a week, right? But if you've got 10 guys and you buy 2 licenses, well, they can all use those same 2 licenses as they need them. You can install it on everybody's computer, but only 2 people can use it at a time. And I think that's a lot more cost effective. So there are ways to address the cost concerns. Okay, so that was the first issue. The second issue is education, right? CAD systems absolutely require training to effectively use them, right? And construction people have enough on their plate as it is. They do not want to spend the time to learn an entirely new software process when they are already overworked and putting in 80 hours a week. They look at the CAD folks, right? The designers and whatnot, and the designers and the architects and the engineers who are expert professionals with years of experience. And construction people just don't see the benefit or the need to invest the kind of time to become that proficient, right? And I think the answer to convey here is letting them know that they don't need that level of proficiency. They don't need to become full-fledged designers with the CAD system in order to effectively use it, right? Knowing how to open and view and do some basic manipulation and some measurements, it's all you really need on the construction end. Right? And I always tell people, it's a lot like a car. You don't need to know how to put together a car from scratch and build every component and every bolt. You just need to know how to drive it. You just got to get in and drive it. That's all you need. Right? And that's what I think is the difference there in terms of education. So, Rocco, what do you think? Are we seeing more construction companies looking for CAD training that's focused towards their specific needs, as opposed to the more traditional, long 12, 16-hour design courses?
Oh yeah, I mean, hey, you look, somebody in a construction space does not need to learn all the intricate components of CAD. And to your point, it's a complex platform. Platform, excuse me. I mean, you know, sometimes I get folks that they'll download a trial of BricsCAD, for example, and they'll like, well, where do I start?
Yeah, that's it, right? It's just like saying, hey, I want to drive a car, so I'm just going to go down and I'm going to lease one, and I'll figure it out as I go. It doesn't always work out quite the way you wanted.
Yeah.
There's always some accidents involved when you go that route. So, yeah, training is a very big thing. And I think, one of the things that we have been trying to do recently on the tech side is offering more and more classes here that focus, specifically for construction-based work, right, to kind of help people get exactly what they need. So we've done a lot of work recently with custom classes for construction clients. So I think it's a smarter way to go. It's more cost effective, and you get to show exactly what they need and not just generic how to use every aspect of the software. So, all right, so let's take a break for a word from today's sponsor. And then when we get back, we'll talk about the third issue facing CAD in the construction world. And we'll talk about some of the potential ways to answer all of these issues. Alrighty, folks, we'll be back in just a few minutes with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. Today's Cattle Call Podcast is being brought to you by BricsCAD, the latest and greatest CAD software out there on the market today. It's growing by leaps and bounds, and the beauty of it is that BricsCAD allows you to use all of your current drawing files, all of the CAD commands and macros and features and Lisp routines and customizations and configurations that you've already developed, right? Without any transition. Your people can be up and running in BricsCAD in a matter of hours, right? So to help you make that transition here at Zentex, one of the things that we've done is we have actually created a Make the Move to BricsCAD program to help you move from your Autodesk-based platform over into BricsCAD with minimal time and risk and investment. And Rocco is going to tell you all about it. Rocco?
I'm going to tell you all about it. Well, there's a great deal of information that's available right on our website. It's zentechconsultants.net. You can reach out to us at sales@zentechconsultants.net or give us a call, 866-824-4459. But yeah, that's the core idea behind it, Jim. If you're an AutoCAD user and you're looking to make the move to BricsCAD, we're here to help make an easier transition for you. So check us out. Let us know how we can help you.
Perfect answer. BricsCAD, the smartest CAD system on the market today. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast. So today we are talking about CAD in the construction environment. All right, and what I really wanted to do here is I wanted to get back to my third, and I promise my final, concern with this process. As I said earlier, right, the biggest driving force with CAD, I think, in the construction is the rise of the building information model, right? The BIM data contained in those files is just, it's ideal for the built world. And, it's got all of the construction and measurement and weight and all of the information that the builder needs. But accessing that data in the field where we're actually building things is a major problem. 3D BIM files are huge, right? It is not unusual for them to run, 50 gig to 500 gig. Right, which makes it completely unusable in the field, right, as a locally installed file. It's just you're not opening up a file that size on a tablet, right, which is what most people are using out in the field. Right? And even when you host the model from a centralized network so that you don't have to download it directly, you're still limited by connectivity concerns. Right? Even if you have broadband connection when you're in the field, if you're that lucky, it's usually spotty and it's slow, right? So opening up BIM files can take forever, right? So even if you do get it open, right, it's almost impossible to do anything with it on the systems that everybody has available out in the field, right? So, Rocco, what do you think? Is that part of the pushback that you get when you're talking with construction clients about CAD? Do they like the idea of accessing the BIM model, but just don't see it as being practical?
Yeah. I mean, I say it's as a big complex process. That's heavily involved. And yeah, the file sizes and being able to make changes, it's a big concern.
Okay. Yeah, see, I was going to yell at you for I thought you were just going to say yep and leave it at that. And I'm going to like,
Oh,
dude,
I was
really?
thinking about
Yeah,
that.
I know you. I could tell. You were just going to leave me hanging. Man, you're a terrible partner. I'm just so angry at you now. And you don't even care. He's like, whatever. It must be a day ending in Y. Jim's annoyed. All right. All right. Well, so let's get back to this then. All right. The good thing. All right. The good thing is that I think there are new and better ways of getting CAD and 3D files out into the field in a more rational manner. I think that more and more, the BIM systems are allowing for the publishing of partial models, right? Which lets the designer publish, trade-specific, we'll say, models that are a lot easier to deal with, right? So they can publish the structural, the electrical, the HVAC systems, for example, as completely separate models, so that you only have to deal with specific items, right? And that makes the file sizes much more reasonable. And then, the idea of cloud-based CAD hosting systems like BricsCAD 24/7, BIM 360, and even really particular in the construction world, Procore has a built-in BIM cloud-based BIM hosting and viewer functionality built right into Procore, which we were working with them as well to get into that. There's still the hosted central model concept, but they've been optimized for the display and the sharing of BIM data, so they don't put as much strain on the internet connection as like a true hosted model off of a server would, right? And on the 2D CAD side, we have seen a definite change over here on the tech end at Zentech. We've seen a definite change in the attitude on the construction end, and a lot of construction firms, I'm finding, are actually hiring full-time CAD people. Right? One of those really skilled CAD guys to do nothing but open the design files and find the answers for the field people, right? Instead of getting involved and training people and getting all of, they're hiring one guy, getting to one good seat of the CAD system they need, right? And having one professional there. And I think that's a great answer, right? Having one skilled CAD person in house to handle all of your needs, instead of, like I said, trying to hire a dozen field guys, each of them trying to learn a little bit of CAD to they get in just enough so they can be dangerous, right? Which is always the scary part. So what do you think, Rocco? Does having one CAD person using a lower cost system like, say BricsCAD, appeal to more construction people than, the traditional train everybody on AutoCAD route that they've been kind of pushed towards for the last few decades?
Well, yeah, I mean, going back to what we were saying before, it's not, learning CAD is not a simple process. Is it impossible? No, of course it's not impossible. But, when these construction folks have so much going on, to add another layer of complexity onto their job, it's, for something that's let's say, minimal requirement or part-time, I think that having one person who's responsible definitely makes sense.
Yeah. And like I said, I think, the balance there is exactly, what you're hinting at, right? That, the other side of that is that construction people are not always great with technology. And I don't mean to insult anybody or put any kind of a slant, but these are skilled tradesmen and women who have spent decades, right, learning their crafts. That's where their focus has been. They are phenomenal pipe fitters and construction managers. And this is what they focused on. This is what they know. They know every aspect of the construction, the built world. Now you have to, teach them to use the computers and the laptops and the printers and the emails and then dump CAD on top of that. You know what I mean? It's a lot. It's a big ask. It really is. It's a lot to dump on people. So, one other thing, right? Really kind of like the last big thing here that I wanted to touch base on before we close out today, right? Is it's just an idea that I love. It's one of my absolute favorite things. And
no.
Yeah, no, and it's not myself. Believe it, I actually love something other than myself, though I have to. I'm pretty amazing. I mean, face it, Rocco. You know you love me. You do.
You're gonna scare away the listeners.
If they haven't been scared away from us by now, they're hopeless. There's just no way. There's nothing I can do to scare these people off. So, anyway, What I really meant, what I was talking about here is the concept of 3D PDFs. Right? And, I harp on these things all the time to our construction clients. I think they're the greatest invention in 20 years. And I realize that, we're talking about a 3D PDF and it's not a traditional CAD drawing, right? Which is kind of our topic for today. But these are generated from CAD and BIM systems, right? And they can be a massive, massive benefit for construction firms. So, when you're dealing with a system like Bluebeam Review, right? And in that case, you need like the CAD version of it or higher. What they let you do is they plug directly into the CAD system and they let you output 3D models with all of the included BIM data directly to a 3D PDF file. Right? In other words, your CAD person sitting in the office can open up the full model using the full system, right? And output 3D PDFs for your field staff. Right? And I think the real benefit here with the 3D PDFs is that they are about 5% of the size of the original model. Right? It's a dramatic reduction in size, and they can be easily downloaded to a tablet running Bluebeam or any other PDF viewer that lets you, view 3D PDFs. And it lets your field staff have, full 3D control of the model. That means that they can, using this 3D PDF, they can isolate objects, they can create views, they can add markups, they can cut their own sections through any location, and a million other things in just a few seconds using the tools in the system that they already know, right? Which is really amazing, right? So, when you're using a system like Bluebeam Review, right, which most every construction company out there already has, right, it even lets you select every object, every three-dimensional BIM object in there. You can click on the duct, you can click on the lights, you can click on the switches, whatever it is, the walls, and you can see all of the building information model data that is associated to that object in the PDF, right? So if you work with your designer, your architect, your engineer, whoever, and they use an LOD, a level of development, right, like a 350 or higher, that has the data you need for construction, the make, the model, the manufacturer, the size, the weight, the mounting height, the number, all of that data that they can put in the BIM model itself is instantly available to your construction staff on this minimal 3D PDF. Right? It's absolutely amazing the amount of information you get for such a small file size. So, Rocco, we've done a bunch of webinars on the 3D PDFs, right, and their benefits here at Zentech. What has been the response to the 3D PDFs by the construction community? Right? And of course, most importantly, where do our listeners go to check out those webinars to see if they think the 3D PDFs might be useful for them?
Oh yeah, it's a huge. There's a huge level of interest around it. I mean, and it's only growing. So yeah, definitely hit up our website zentechconsultants.net, and you'll be able to check out some of the on-demand webinars, or download a trial Bluebeam Review, or just feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to have a conversation, talk to you a little bit more.
All right.
Jim likes to talk.
I talk way too much, and that is the truth. But I'm charming and funny.
Oh, God.
You're not even going to agree. You twice today, you just leave me hanging, man.
Somebody save me.
All right. All right. I'll save you by putting an end to your torture here for today. So, all right, folks, before poor Rocco breaks into tears, I think we can wrap it up here for today. So I want to thank you all for listening. Hope you got some good info, and we will catch you in the next podcast, folks. You have been listening to the CAD Call Podcast. All right, everybody. Today's CAD Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all.